In the headlines, Dominica to receive help from Duquesne University in realizing its climate resilience agenda. The Waterfront and Allied Workers Union says it is time to review the minimum wage. And Jazz and Creole 2019 said to have been well received by the patrons. I am Andrea Louis with the Channel 5 News, back with the details after this.
I've worked in the service industry for 9 years, and I love it because of the people I get to meet every day. And that's one of the reasons I went back to college, to be better able to serve the tourists when they come to our destination and to be able to learn more about Dominica. I love learning more about Dominica because the more I learn, the more I can share. And I just want to share Dominica with everyone. I'm from Munjan, which is in the southeast of Dominica, and have lived overseas for 24 years. Living overseas has made me appreciate Dominica and all it has to offer, like taking a walk in the forest, going to the botanical garden, or even drinking fresh Sus water. I never thought I could miss green so much. Even as a student, I'm still directly linked to the tourism industry, from something as simple as giving directions to tourists, or even more involved, like an internship at a hotel, or a cleanup campaign with the HTA. As a tourism student, I have made the decision to take my place in this tourism industry. My name is Lucina Nicholas, and tourism is my business.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, Duquesne University and Dominica have entered into talks on how to help the country realize its climate resilience vision. Julian Morris has that story.
3 professors from the university held talks with the Prime Minister on Tuesday to identify where and how the institution can help the country meet its goal. Prime Minister Skerrit says one of the areas of focus was the country's energy policy.
At the Duquesne University, they are completely self-sufficient where energy is concerned. And I was totally impressed with how they go about cooling their buildings, for example, generating energy, and the management of this, was just amazing. That you have this major plant on campus, and you don't hear it, and they're self-sufficient. So they're able to come into us and to assist us in reviewing our energy policy, because it's an evolving process. It is not cast in stone. It can change, and it is as time goes by, there are things that you can improve upon.
Mr. Skerrit believes waste management is another area in which the country can receive significant assistance from the university.
Every island in the world I know of, Dominica included, has a serious challenge with waste management, because people have greater access to consumable goods. We buy stuff. You buy a washing machine. It's not washing your clothes. You don't get to fix it. You set it aside and you buy a new one. So our friends here also will be reviewing our waste treatment plant, the one owned by DOASCO, and to see where we've fallen short in terms of the management of this, and what is their advice on how we can improve it. So not only improve it, but also look at the possibility of making money out of waste. Transform it into energy. And I think it's an important area where DOASCO itself needs to look at, in conjunction with the power generating company.
The Prime Minister says training the youth on specific national priority areas can also be accomplished at Duquesne University.
We will look to entering into an agreement with them for the training of Dominicans, because one of the things that we have to look at, not only in Dominica, but is a matter that I keep raising throughout the Caribbean, is that there appears to be somewhat of a mismatch between what students go out to university to study and what the Caribbean needs. And what you find in many instances is that there is a saturation in some areas of studies, and there's a huge deficiency in many other areas that are critical to the economy of our countries.
The geothermal wells at Loda, the Forkole landfill and Antrim water treatment plant are among the areas visited by the Duquesne University delegation during its stint in Dominica.
In more top stories, the Secretary-Treasurer of the Waterfront and Allied Workers Union believes it is time to review the minimum wage. We again join Julian Morris with more.
Curtis Augustus told workers on Monday they were observing May Day at a time when calls were being made for change on various levels, including the minimum wage and electoral reform. Augustus noted that it had been over 11 years since the minimum wage was last reviewed.
May Day is being held and celebrated at a time when there is a call by the former Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Labor for a review of the minimum wage legislation in Dominica. And we in the Waterfront and Allied Workers Union support that call. The last review done in terms of the minimum wage was in the year 2008. Therefore, it's now almost 11 years and more than enough time for a review. May Day is being observed and celebrated at a time in Dominica when there is a serious call and/or request for electoral reform in Dominica before the next general election. An electoral reform committee made up of churches, the private sector, 2 trade unions, the Dominica Public Service Union and the Waterfront and Allied Workers Union, have been meeting since January to seek to ensure our electoral process and elections are both free and fair and free from any forms of violence. That is what catapulted the union into that committee.
He also noted the challenges facing the TVET Council, which has not been able to function due to the lack of an executive director.
May Day observance is being held at a time when an important institution, namely the Technical Vocational Education and Training Organization, is rendered non-functional through the non-appointment of an executive director. The TVET board did in fact make recommendations for the appointment of an executive director, which was rejected by the authorities, resulting in this predicament. We hope that the position will be filled soon so as to advance the functions of the TVET office and organization.
Augustus says the union's progress towards decent work is under attack, and the trade union movement must remain vigilant as employers strive to increase profits at the expense of their workers.
Too early yet for statistics, but the 10th edition of Jazz and Creole is being described as a hit with the patrons. The event held on Sunday saw main stage acts in the likes of renowned Trinidadian pianists Johan Chuckery, the youthful local band The Smith Brothers, Dominica-born songstress rising in popularity in the French West Indies, Mel, St. Lucia's jazz sensation Boo Hinkson, and Tony Chasso and the Ronald Toole Quartet from Martinique. Director of Tourism Colin Piper says modifications were made to the venue to accommodate the expected crowds.
Well, as it relates to 10th edition Jazz and Creole, we thought it went well. You know, the intent and the vision is always to grow the event. And so year after year, you hope to make improvements to what didn't work the year before so that it can be a better environment for the patrons. So that was the intent going in this year, was to try to move things around a little at Fort Shirley so that people would be more comfortable. I think over the years we had started to hear that the crowds were building up to the point where it was starting to get a little uncomfortable on the main stage area. So we did more with the food court area by putting an LCD or an LED screen there and allowing people to move and mingle. And then we did something else with the chill zone where we put another LED a little lower down so that people who wanted to wander on the premises could do so. So all in all, it was about trying to ease up the congestion for the patrons while providing a great show on stage.
Several smaller acts were also on display, namely the Paybush Drummers, CHS Umoja, Mary Pascal Afana, and Amanda Lawrence. Piper says feedback from the patrons was generally positive. He says, however, there are areas already identified for improvement next year.
Well, the usual things, right? There's not a whole lot we can do about the parking situation in Portsmouth, other than tell people to come early. But what we continue to try to do is increase on the number of shuttles that will take people. The restroom situation up at Fort Shirley, especially for the females, we have to continue to work on so that there's enough for the crowds that we have. These are some infrastructure things that we're looking at. And as the Ministry of Tourism looks at Fort Shirley along with the Division of Forestry to determine whether there's other things that can be done in terms of an amphitheater, in terms of other infrastructure that can be done. These are things that we will look to stage events and make it more convenient for the patrons. But we'll continue to look at these sorts of things and see how we can improve. But generally, I believe that we have a good product. We have a product that people are happy with.
Former Marpin employee Davis George makes his formal entry into the political arena this week for the 2020 general elections. Mr. George will contest the Paybush seat on a UWP ticket at the upcoming general elections. He will be in the spotlight at the UWP's declaration of candidates in Calibishi on Thursday evening. George, a former camera operator and video editor at Marpin 2K4, says the level of representation which Calibishi currently receives is nothing to shout about. He says it is time for young people to step up to the plate to make a difference in their communities. The UWP will hold a press launching for the presentation of candidates at Prevost Cinemall on Wednesday from 9:30 a.m. The party holds its national presentation of candidates on May 19th on the Bayfront from 3 to 10 p.m. You are watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
I've been in the business for over 16 years. I get up in the mornings and I look forward to having the next cruise ship berth on island. When the visitor steps off the ship, the first impression is me. And I believe that I need to put my best foot forward and to ensure that everything I do it to the best of my ability. Based on my recommendation, visitors go to various sites, restaurants, bars, and vendors. I take that responsibility very seriously. I would like that the guest receives the same service that I have provided to that individual or guest. This business is bigger than me. Everybody plays a role. The cleaner who cleans my bus, my mechanic who does my checks, those persons ensure that I provide a quality service to the guest. The tourism dollar doesn't just stop with me. It allows me to pay the bank, visit the supermarket to feed myself and family, and have a drink with friends. My name is Jenna Gist, and tourism is my business.
If you're HIV positive or have an STI, having unprotected sex with multiple partners puts them in grave danger. You'll expose every partner and their present and future partners to HIV or another STI. Use a condom every time you have sex. You can live a productive life even if diagnosed with HIV. Remember, early detection is key to your survival. Be responsible, protect yourself and others. Help stop the spread of HIV and other STIs.
Welcome back. 6 primary schools in the East Education District to benefit from a $5,000 donation. We again join Julian Morris with more.
The donation of 500 school bags among 500 students in the East is a collaborative effort between the Trip Wireless C7 initiative and Kanto. Representative of C7 Taylor Wheater says this is the third such donation which the company has made to children in countries recovering from the impact of natural disasters.
Trip Wireless started the C7 initiative in 2017. It started with a first initial bag drop when the first storms hit, and it just kind of grew from there into a more sustainable initiative, and we are now the C7 initiative. This donation of 500 bags is the third donation that we have provided. We are hoping to grow that year on year, and with the help from Mr. Bork, the CEO of Digicel, he has suggested that our next stop should be St. Vincent's, and we would like this to be something that we could continue indefinitely and perhaps grow beyond just backpacks and school supplies.
The Caribbean Association of National Telecommunications Organizations, Kanto, was instrumental in partnering with C7 to get this program off the ground.
C7 started as an idea by the Corporate Social Responsibility Committee of Kanto in conjunction with Trip Wireless. The idea was born out of the need to play a role in the hurricanes that seem to have wreaked havoc over our islands in the last few years. Now, what was seen as a one-off project blossomed into an ongoing initiative as we recognize the vulnerability of the Caribbean countries to natural disasters. While our contribution of school backpacks with stationery and may seem small in the grand scheme of things, it was Matt Bevan who said the ripple effects of small things is extraordinary.
The local telecommunications companies were also vital to seeing this project through. Corporate Communications and LEAP Ambassador for Flow Dominica, Fidina Frampton, says the company is committed to the educational development of the country's youth.
We also played our part in helping 2 of the primary schools get back on their feet and to get the children back within the classroom, and that's the Paybush Primary School and the Mont Prosper Primary Schools. In fact, we contributed close to $500,000 towards that, and a similar $500,000 towards the renovation of the library. So we are playing our part and making our contribution as well, and we are happy to be a part of this initiative, and again commend all those who are involved in assisting these young people to get the items that they require to continue to be comfortable within the classroom and to contribute towards their education.
The 500 school bags will be distributed among the Lighthouse Christian Academy, as well as the Concord, Atkinson, Salibia, Siniku, and Castlebruce primary schools on Wednesday.
General Secretary of the Dominica Amalgamated Workers Union believes it is time for all employees to pay union dues and not just a select few. Shillingford told a May Day celebration at the Wahoo Hall on Monday the union dues issue is among a list of outstanding matters which she believes must be addressed at government level.
There is a new generation of younger workers who need to be sensitized about the union and the need to join the union. In some workplaces, only a few of these workers pay union dues, while the majority just enjoy the benefits at the expense of those who will pay for the union dues. The leaders have written to the governments already about changing that law so that every single person in a job where there is a union or collective labor agreement, that everyone should pay their dues. It is a must. The governments are delaying on that, and this is one of the challenges that face the workers. If only every worker would come together and join the union, we would have one less challenge to face.
Shillingford says with the advent of the collective labor agreement, workers have become complacent and do not see the need to join a union. But she says that attitude is already having negative repercussions for some of these very same employees.
There are employers that do not respect the collective labor agreement. They hire workers on part-time basis when a simply job letter would suffice. In addition, even when there is that collective labor agreement, They do not see the need to even negotiate. There's no salary negotiation, and they simply just decide, management and board of directors, that they're going to give 0% or 1%. All of these are the challenges that the workers are facing because many of them in the job will not join the union. Workers are against themselves.
Shillingford emphasized that trade unions stand to gain much more working together than they would in isolation. And a call for labor unions to stick to their roots and their purpose for existence. The call from Father Branko John as he delivered the homily at Wawu's May Day church service on Monday.
Workers' unions were born from the philosophy that the human person should not be sacrificed at the altar of work. That is why workers' unions came about. John Paul II, now Saint John Paul II, he reminded us about this in 1981 when he wrote a letter to the church called On Human Work. And in that letter he called for upholding the rights of workers through a just wage, adequate rest, safe working conditions, unemployment benefits, injury and disability subsidies, pensions and parental leave, and work that upholds moral integrity and personal dignity. John Paul II spoke about this in 1981 and continued to speak about it.
Father John says the union must be prepared to stand with its members for their good.
Money is important. We need money to function. And a sound economy makes for better living conditions for many people. The welfare of the human person, however, still comes before profit. The welfare of the human person comes before profit. Why is this? Because profit will one day cease to exist, but the human soul endures. The human soul endures. A fair day's work for a fair day's pay, yes. This is just, this is right. But also remember, a fair day's pay for a fair day's work. A fair day's pay for a fair day's work. And the union must be prepared to stand for this, even though it means being denigrated by those who wish to put profit before the human person.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
To end the news, the headlines again. Dominica to receive help from Duquesne University to realize its climate resilience agenda. The Waterfront and Allied Workers Union believes it is time to review the minimum wage. And the 2019 Jazz and Creole viewed as a success with the patrons. Feel free to contact us at news@marvin2k4.com. You can also access or pass the newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Louis, and to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us tomorrow.